Necromancers are easily everyone's favorite caster bro, and it is a pretty straightforward playstyle here in Baldur's Gate 3. In this video today, we're going to go over some of the details of playing a Necromancer, such as the Necromancy of Thay book, how Animate Dead works, and some items that you can use to maximize your dead bros. This will be a bit different from my normal build guides, but it will follow roughly the same format. There's not a ton of mystique here to crack as far as the actual build goes. It'll be just making sure you do certain things along your path to maximize your use of necromancy. If this is your first time on my channel, the way I do things is by upfronting the knowledge in my videos so you can decide if it's the right one for you. With that being said, this build is very straightforward. You're taking 12 levels into Wizard with the Necromancy subclass. That's it. If you're looking for more of a Dark Knight build, I have that as well, linked in the upper right hand corner. But this assumes you want to just be a pure caster character. Outside of that, you'll want to get the Necromancy of Thay book in Act 1 in the Blighted Village. The gem is down in the well, and the book itself is in the cellar in the first house on the left on an altar. Combine those, step through that process, then, not to spoil anything, but look for a codex in the Sorceress Sundry's vault in Act 3, which will allow you to summon 4 ghouls on top of your Animate Dead spell. But that's really the entire gist of this video. If that's all you wanted to know, then get to creating your Bone Daddy and have fun in BG3. Before you head out though, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Each one of those things does help me out in a huge way. I currently have something like 89% unsubscribed viewership on the channel, and that's a metric I'm trying to change here before the year's end, so every little bit helps. You can jump ahead to any part of this video that interests you the most using the chapters about the timeline and the description. If you need help with any other subject though in Baldur's Gate 3, check out my playlist linked below and at the end of the video. Well, let's get started here on our best Necromancer build for Baldur's Gate 3. Jumping into character creation, let's take a look at things here for our race selection for a Necromancer. And man, my allergies are really rough in it, so I apologize if I sound like my head is inside of a jar. But you can go with whatever you want race-wise. Drow is always a really good solid option. It's my favorite race in D&D, so I'm a little biased here. But Drow does have some really great capabilities. You do get the skill perception naturally as being a Drow. Also, you'll get access to an advantage on being charmed. You're immune to sleep. You get superior dark vision. And your Drow magic gives you dancing lights and fairy fire, which is whatever, but you still get darkness, which is a pretty good ability. You can just send your undead minions into the dark and have them attack things, which I really quite like. Another really good option here is for any of the elf, both half or full elf, and going high elf, because this gets you access to an additional cantrip. This cantrip it uses intelligence as its spellcasting capability, so a lot of other races don't really benefit from this the way that the wizard can. So choosing a high half-elf or a high elf are great ways to get just an extra cantrip on board. As always, the Gith is a really solid one just because you get access to quite a few things when it comes to their martial prodigy. You're going to get your light and medium armor proficiencies, as well as short sword, long sword, great sword weapon proficiencies. So if you want to kind of be this character that does use like two-handed weapons, even medium armor, and still just being a pure wizard, you can definitely do that as a Gith, which is very, very fun. I also really like the Dwegar as far as a dwarf goes, because they get the ability to cast Enlarge and the ability to cast Invisibility, as well as just being a dwarf, so that gives them advantage on saving throws against poison, and dwarven combat for battle axes, hand axes, light hammers, and war hammers. But my go-to pick is the Asmodeus Tiefling. This is going to get you the cantrip of Produce Flame, and it will also get you 2 other cantrips at levels 3 and 5 here. It's going to be Hellish Rebuke is one of them, which is actually kind of just a nice capability to sear things up whenever they attack you, and another darkness spell, just like we get from the Drow. So being a wizard, you can cast all these spells, so it's not like you're missing out on anything if you don't take them. This is just kind of my reasoning to kind of have them online very quickly in your playthrough. As far as your race goes, though, pretty much go with whatever you feel the most confident and the most secure in. Just choose whichever one you want, because they're all going to have the same exact stats. Now, when it comes to your class, you're just simply going to choose Wizard, as you would expect. Cantrip, go with whatever you wish here. I just definitely want to take Bone Chill from a thematic standpoint. This is a Necromancy cantrip. It is the only Necromancy cantrip, and I quite like this here. Another cool thing you can do is taking Friends as a really good one, unless you have another character that can take Friends as part of their initial cantrips. And for spells, again, just have fun, choose whatever you want. This is just level 1. I like stuff though, like here, I'll kind of select my starting go-to level 1 spells. False Life is one of your only level 1 spells, and Ray of Enfeeblement, I think, is another one. But this is one of your only other necromancy spells. So you can go with this just to get some temp hit points and to stick with the theme if you so wish. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is always really nice. Shield is a very good capability. Unfortunately, I would select Sleep, but it falls off very quickly. So if you're using this in the very beginning of the game, definitely go with Sleep, but you can go eventually with something like Charm Person. But this is a pretty good little initial setup for however you want to do things. Oh, Ray of Sickness. Ray of Enfeeblement's level 2, I think. Ray of Sickness is the other necromancy spell. So you know what? Just for thematic purposes, we'll go with that. Background here, please go with whatever thing makes the most sense for you, your character, and the roleplay you have in mind. Really build out a roleplay for your characters. Makes it a lot more fun. Are you some sort of noble son who discovered the dark book of necromancy, and this brings you into the necromantic web of things? Are you a former soldier who's been corrupted by the Thay and then thusly learns necromancy? Do whatever makes the most sense for you. Guild Artisan is always a really good solid option here. It's my min-max option because it gives you insight and persuasion, which are two really great skills that you can then select over here with your actual breakdown of your character. Now the real question is, how do our ability scores work as a wizard? And ability scores or ability points are pretty much just going to be just like this. Since we're going with a pure wizard, we don't need strength. We don't even need wisdom or charisma, assuming this is not your main character. If this is your main character, I would just take the points out of dexterity and maybe pop them over here into charisma. You know, probably maybe not 10, but this is an example of what I might do with my main character. You could even reduce them from Constitution if you wish. The reason I have Constitution at 16 is that it's going to obviously give us plenty of health, but the main thing is it's going to help us out with any Constitution saving throws, which all concentration spells utilize. So this is a concentration spell. Whenever I get hit, I'm going to make a concentration roll to see if I maintain this spell. If I fail the roll, I stop casting the spell. If I pass the roll, I keep casting it effectively. So I like having my Constitution kind of high on this character. You can reduce this if you wish to increase your dexterity, because you are a wizard, so you are not using armor, and this is what's going to give you additional armor class. But we're talking like, if I'm going to put 2 points into this, that's only 1 more armor class. So to me, honestly, I'm a wizard. If someone gets up close and personal in my face, I'm going to need a spell to help me out, not necessarily my raw armor class, in my personal opinion. But I'm not a D&D master, so take that with a grain of salt. That's a pretty good setup, though, for your ability points on your wizard. Let's jump into what some progression looks like now for this character. Progression for your Necromancer is going to be very straightforward. You're just pretty much going to level up. That's all you need to do. Make sure, of course, you choose the subclass Necromancy. Keep in mind that when you choose a subclass of any specific wizarding school, is that what I call it? Is it? Yeah, it's a school, right? Or School of Magic, whatever. Learning necromancy spells from scrolls only costs you 25 gold per spell level, not 50. So you get a little bit of a discount there. It makes it a little bit easier. And since we are going with a Necromancer, we're getting this subclass feature, Grim Harvest. Once per turn, if you kill a creature with a spell, you regain hit points equal to twice the spell slot level used, thrice if it's a necromancy spell. Undead and constructs are uninfected. So you want to kind of focus on using necromancy spells as your best ability, especially that cantrip, Bone Chill. Also, Necromancy Savant, learning necromancy spell. Oh, whoops. I thought this was going to be the one about get an extra thingamabob. We'll talk about that in a bit. So let's just go ahead and choose like False Life here. And this character is a different one than we did in character creation. So we'll go ahead and accept that. We'll push here into level 3. And just, again, we're going to do the same thing. So Ray of Enfeeblement is going to be your other necromancy spell that I was talking about earlier. God, off my head, but just kind of stick with necromancy spells if you don't already have them, but you can also spice into different directions. Like, it's very easy to really stack up fire or cold damage in the beginning of the game, and I'll show you how you do that. So I'm just going to choose Ice Knife because, you know, maybe that's what you're going to go with. You're going to hinge yourself upon that. But also keep in mind stuff like, you know, Darkness can be pretty good, or even using things like Crown of Madness. Those things all can be pretty great. Hold Person is an amazing ability. It is enchantment, but who cares? It's still, you're a wizard. You're going to be able to cast whatever you want. There's not that many necromancy spells in this game. So once we reach level 4, it's time to choose our feats. So first, let's go ahead and just do this, and we'll choose our spells. Here. I'll do a little Melfacet Arrow, and, you know, I'll do Hold Person. Let's now talk a feat for Necromancer. And feats are going to be pretty much dealer's choice, as it always is. Elemental Adept can be quite good. You can focus on that early cold or fire damage. Unfortunately, necrotic damage is not an element, so we can't focus on it, but still doing one or the other kind of works for me. Personally, cold for me is very thematic to necromancers, so I would probably go with something like that and focus on cold damage if I'm not doing the outright necrotic damage. Also, I kind of like a lot of the cold spells like Hailstorm, or is it Hailstorm? Or Sleet, Storm of Ice, Ice Spikes from the Sky, whatever the hell it's called. And also like Cone of Frost, stuff like that. But outside of that, you have plenty of other things that you can take advantage of. Even just a simple ability improvement here, just put the 2 into intelligence, whatever you'd like to do there is a really great one. Another really nice one here, scroll down, is Resilient. So what this is going to do here, you increase an ability by 1 to a max of 20 and gain proficiency in that ability's saving throw. So if you're just out of all of your feats, like I don't know what to choose, this is a nice one because it allows us to get a proficiency in that ability saving throw. So in this case, it would be Constitution. So we would add our proficiency bonus, which is going to be 2, 3, or 4, depending upon what level you are, to anytime we're doing a Constitution saving throw, which concentration is. This is a very nice, simple one that you can really take advantage of. I quite like it. Another really good one that's kind of a no-brainer for any kind of caster is Spell Sniper. You learn a cantrip, which is lovely, and the number you need to roll a critical hit with spells is reduced by 1. So now you can crit on 19 and 20. Cantrips go. This allows you to. Oh, I guess I didn't choose Bone Chill. No, I guess I didn't either. Okay, there we go. So this allows you to jump into Eldritch Blast if you so wish, but since we're not really kind of going that direction, I wouldn't worry about it. Just choose whichever one of these you makes the most sense. Maybe Shock and Grasp to give you a little bit of extra punch, whatever it is. Another fun one too is, where is it? Not Mage Slayer. Mobile, which is nice. Your movement speed increases and difficult terrain doesn't slow you down when you dash. If you move after making a melee attack, you don't provoke opportunity attacks. So this is kind of a nice way to get you, well, mobile and have you moving around quite a bit. I do like it a lot. Warcaster is always nice as well because you get an advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell. So you can take this over that resilience if you so wish. The Shocking Grasp portion of it is not as awesome. It's nice to have, but it's, again, not that crucial. It's mainly you just want that advantage. It's a nice thing to kind of have in this situation. But really kind of go with whatever makes the most sense for you. I think stuff like Spell Sniper and Warcaster become pretty much auto picks for casters. But you could even do something like, again, like Durable if you wanted, or gain full hit points each time you take a short rest if you want to kind of focus on that. Whatever makes the most sense for the type of character you have in mind. Have fun with it. Don't feel locked into any of these feats. You can always just respec and choose different ones, but these are the ones that I recommend for this build. Now continue with the progression of this character. Again, very straightforward. You're just simply going to keep leveling up. Counterspell is very crucial almost all the time. You can choose Animate Dead here if you want. You can get it from a spell, or you can just wait until level 6 where you just automatically get it. It's up to you. And Glyph of Warding is always great. Transmutation or Haste is really good. You can also go with, a Necromancy spell like Vampiric Touch, which is actually very good. Touch an enemy to siphon their life force and regain half as many hit points. For 10 turns, you can use Vampiric Touch again without expending an additional spell slot. So it can be one of those ones that you can use in a pinch. Someone gets close to you, you cast it, and you kind of have that ability to use it quite a bit, especially if you use boots that have Misty Step to get out of a sticky situation. It's quite a good spell. I do very much enjoy it. We're going to take that. Now, once we jump into level 6, we get some good features. First off, we get Animate Dead. So we'll talk about that in its own section. But we get the 2 big subclass features. So for one, when you cast or when you use Animate Dead, you raise an additional corpse, which is awesome. And you get better summons. So creatures created with Animate Dead have additional hit points equal to your wizard level and your proficiency bonus added to their damage. So just for the most part here, like I said, just keep moving through this. Just choose spells. Keep pushing yourself up. You're not really going to get anything crazy from the rest of this going forward. We'll choose another Blight, right? Another Necromancy spell. Really, the only thing that's going to jump out is at level 10, you'll get Inured to Death, which is okay. It doesn't really do anything crazy. You'll see. We're going to be there in just a little bit. I'm just going to choose some more spells, choose another thing. I chose Spell Sniper. I'll just choose Warcaster. And I want to get to level 10 before we end this segment. Can never remember what spells are off the top of my head because I've never played tabletop. I've only played like all the games, so I'm way better at the games than I am at tabletop, I'm sure. Here, Ice Storm. That's our cold magic I was dipping into, right? Really? Level 5? Right there. Huh. And then at level 10, we get this last subclass feature, Inured to Death. You have seeped yourself so completely in death that you are resistant to necrotic damage, and moreover, your hit point max cannot be reduced. So that's the maxed capability here. You know, another way to approach this entire playthrough is by doing 6 Spore Druid, 6 Necromancer. That's a really good build my good buddy Remortis has on it. You can see his. He has a really just a legion of undead things to take advantage of, which is very cool. But I really wanted to make a pure wizard character. So this is what this is here today. After this, I mean, you could jump into Fighter and bring Fighter to 2 levels. And this is going to give you access to Action Surge. But I think jumping to at least level 11 with Wizard gets you that final level 7 spell, I believe it is, at that rank. And that's kind of the big focus here. I'm just trying to make a pure spellcasting character. So have as much fun with this as you want. This is where I'm going to stop this portion of it. Let's talk about equipment and the Necromancy of Thay. So if you're going to go with the Necromancer, an absolute crucial thing you need to do is in Act 1, go to the Blighted Village, get the Necromancy of Thay book from the Alchemist's Cellar. It's in the first building on the left. And then you need to go into the well and then get the Dark Amethyst. Do whatever's in the well. Don't want to spoil it for you if you've not done it. You put these two together and you're going to go through a series of checks. If you're a wizard, it's far easier to do those checks than anything else. And once you've done it, you're either you want to succeed through all 3. So you can save scum through it if you wish. You can use your inspiration points if you wish. Whatever allows you to get through those 3 checks. And then you're going to think, okay, well, that was kind of dumb. I didn't do anything. This book then gets turned online, I guess you could say, by getting the Thracian Codex, or Thracian Codex. Thracian? Is it from Thay? It's not from Thrace. It's from the Thay. The Thracian Codex, I think it is, that you'll find in the Sorceress Sundries in Act 3. That's just right in the lower city. As soon as you get into there, there's a vault. You'll go through that. You'll get the codex from there. I don't want to, I'm explaining this because if you've not done it, I don't want to spoil that whole entire vault. It's a really cool series of puzzles and fun things to do. So I want you to experience it yourself. If you've already played the game and you know what I'm talking about, you know where that codex is. So go get that. You put these two together and then you're going to get a spell. I do not have that spell, unfortunately, but that spell is called the Dance Macabre. This was recently, well, was nerfed at the very beginning of the game when it came out. So the actual tooltip I'm showing you is from that, is pre-nerf. But this creates 4 ghouls that fight alongside you. This is a disgusting amount of undead because we're going to stack this with our Animate Dead capability and our other capability that we got right here at level 6, which is Summon Undead, wherever the hell it is. Somewhere in my repertoire, but we'll show that off in the next section. But all these things in conjunction allow you to have a ton of undead on the field at a given time, making you the true master of the undead. So let's talk Animate Dead, and let's talk about how we can get a legion going. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the Crypt Lord Ring, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and I don't have Dance Macabre, which we just talked about. Both of those abilities do not require a corpse to summon your undead. Now, that might have been patched, so please take this with a grain of salt. I've unable to get that spell to test this, but that's the big thing about those. Allows you to cast Undead, which will last until long rest without using A, spell slot, or B, a corpse, which is the 2 big things that it costs here. But I'm still going to show you how you can utilize your level 6 spell slot to get a lot going on here. So let's take a look at these corpses I've strewn about the area. So the first thing we want to take a look at is Animate Dead. So Animate Dead gives us some options. We can summon up a skeleton or a zombie. A zombie is going to be a melee character versus the skeleton here. It specializes in ranged combat, so you can see the difference between these. So this is what you're going to start off with. But once you get to a level 5 spell slot, you're going to get Animate Ghoul, specializes in melee combat, or Animate Flying Ghoul, that specializes in range combat. So again, whatever makes the most sense for you. And when I click this spell, I'm using a level 5 spell slot, so it shows me I can click 2 targets. But I'm going to go ahead and supercharge this up to level 6. Before I actually cast this spell, you can see I have to select 4 targets. I'm going to do this instead. So Arcane Battery, this is from this item, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Arcane Battery, alleviate the arcane burden of spell casting with the power of the staff. The next spell you cast doesn't cost a spell slot. We're going to cast that. It's up. I'm going to press 6. I'm going to find Animate Dead. And I could you create Undead with this if I want, but I'm using Animate Dead. And I'm going to do ghouls. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. Because we are Necromancer, we're getting 4 ghouls rather than 3. So this gives us a lot of really good capabilities. But we still have that level 6 spell slot. So let's go ahead and cast Create Undead. I think I can get a good range. There we go. And ba-bam. Now we have a supercharged mummy. Unfortunately, the mummy doesn't get the benefits of your subclass, and this is just a bug for some reason. But right here, we have 5 undead. You add Dance Macabre into this, and then we're going to get 4 more ghouls, because it's no longer 6 more ghouls. It's no longer 6 ghouls. So we have 8 total ghouls and a mummy that are ripping and gripping downstream for us. And I don't even know what that entire sentence means. But the important thing here, too, is because of my helmet, which I'll show off in the gear section, they all have resistance to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. The nice thing about this is that these guys are just going to be able to do quite a bit of considerable damage in conjunction with each other, with their, where is this ability? They have the ability to paralyze things. Claws. Lash out wildly with claws and possibly paralyze the target. That is one of the best things about them. Also, they get devoured by a knocked out, prone, or sleeping target and deal 6 to 33 slashing damage, heal that many hit points. So you can keep these things up for quite a bit. And here's our mummy here, who has just a rotting fist. Drive your fist into a foe and possibly afflict them with mummy rot. You can see your max hit points is reduced by 8. You cannot be healed. Really strong in conjunction too with multi-attack, and aim multiple attacks at a target that is frightened. Each one deals 5 to 15 slashing damage and 3 to 18 necrotic damage. And you also have Dreadful Glare, affix a target with your Dreadful Gaze to frighten it. And you as a wizard have tons of sources to frighten things as well. So you can see that your Undead Legion is going to be quite strong and fun. And remember, you're not playing alone. You've got 3 other classes that are going to be able to help out in this situation. And the nice thing too about this is with 4 extra ghouls in the equation, yeah, they're not going to kill something, but maybe they will. Because you can use the weight of numbers to take things down, or you can use these guys to basically spread out along the battlefield and lock things down in a threatened position so they can't just simply get away. You use these ghouls and these zombies and these ghoulies and these boner boys and whatever the hell they are, that's what I said, to really allow you better flexibility for the rest of your party. Not so much to completely kill things in one go. The mummy's very strong, but the ghouls in and of themselves, like I said, it is definitely weight of numbers, not individual target damage that you're going to get out of them, which is still, though, pretty considerable too if we're taking a look. Oh, I didn't mean that. Pretty considerable to take a look at the, oh man, I'm just pressing all the wrong buttons here. There, God. Still getting, though, keep in mind, necrotic immunity and poison immunity, but this has multi-attack on frightened. The mummy can multi-attack if its target is frightened. It's one thing that none of these tooltips say, so I wanted to make sure you knew this, that the undead mummy can do a multi-attack on a frightened target, whereas our ghoulies here, oops, wrong one. Little ghoulies here, they don't get that. They don't get any kind of multi-attack, which kind of, it does definitely kind of curtail the amount of damage they can do since they're only doing 1 hit per turn. But this is all the details now on your Animate Dead, your Dance Macabre, and your Summon Dead capabilities as a Necromancer. Now, as far as gear goes for this character, have fun. Choose whatever you find, cast with it, use it. You're a wizard, so Harry. So the best thing about that is you don't really need to focus on much of anything. You can really kind of go wild with whatever you get, and that can kind of spice how you play this character. You can use cold spells, you can use fire spells, whatever you want to focus on. Get the spell, get the pieces of equipment that will really kind of hinge or focus on that. You'll find gloves that'll give you fire acuity if you set something afire, or a hat that'll do that. Whatever it is. So just to kind of show off an example here, here is the Morning Frost, which you'll get in Act 1. When dealing cold damage, the wielder deals an additional 1 cold damage. there you go. We can kind of use that in conjunction with this, which you'll get in Act 2, the Cold Brim Hat. Once per turn, any condition inflicted on a target also applies 2 turns of Encrusted with Frost. And you can see what that does here. Affect the entity has disadvantage on dex saving throws. When there are 7 or more turns remaining, the entity must succeed a Constitution saving throw or take 1 to 4 cold damage and become frozen. So you can see that you can really stack these things up. When the wearer deals cold damage, they also create a 15-foot circle of ice around the target. So hinge yourself on a specific element until you start to get to some of the things that really make sense for this build. And to be totally honest with you, there's really only one item that really makes sense for this build. The rest, find whatever you want and use it. Don't feel like you have to use anything specifically for necromancy, because you really don't need to, which is actually kind of nice. There is a staff called it's a Staff of the Cherished Necromancer. And you're going to get it from the same way that we're going to talk about the Ring of the Crypt Lord. But you kill an individual in Act 3, and you'll drop his staff and his ring. The staff doesn't help you as a necromancer at all. It helps with your necrotic damage, but we're focusing on our pets. We're trying to make this a pet class, so that's really not that crucial. Now, the Ring of the Crypt Lord here is pretty good. Now, the reason this is pretty good is that it allows you to use Create Undead without using a corpse and without using a level 6 spell slot. This is nice. This is crucial. You don't have to waste any kind of gimmicky stuff, which I'm going to show you in a little bit, on getting your corpses online faster, right? Your undead online faster. So this is the only item that I don't have that I wanted to showcase. Outside of that, the other big item you need, the best item you do need, it wasn't that Crypt Lord item, it was this one. The Circle of Bones. Undead Ward. Allied undead within 20 feet are resistant to bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage, so they're going to take half that damage. You get this from Balthazar in Act 2. It's absolutely crucial to this build. Any boots, you're going to want something that gives you Misty Step. There's a lot of different ones. These are nice because you cannot be enwebbed, entangled, or ensnared, so you have that as well as not being able to slip on grease or ice. So just a nice little bit of capability to move around. Gloves, we've got the quick spell gloves. Cantrips that cost an action cost a bonus action instead. This effect can be used once per short rest. This is nice that this comes back online with a short rest. You'd simply go ahead and press this button and then select maybe your Ray of Frost if you're doing that cold damage, or that Bone Chill if you're doing that necrotic damage. Whatever you kind of want to do here, you can just go ahead and amp it up. If you do really want to hinge onto that necrotic damage, please, by all means, go ahead and get the Staff of the Cherished Necromancer and all the things that give you bonuses to necrotic damage. I just really wanted to show you how there's not, this build is not dependent upon any real items other than this one, because it allows all of our undead to take 50% less damage from these 3 sources, which is going to be their prevalent amount of damage they're going to be dealt in close combat. I'm using the Cloak of Elemental Absorption, but use whatever cloak you wish. Another good one here would be the Cloak of Protection that I actually have on Karlach right now. So armor class +1 and saving throw +1. That's quite good here as well. Another good set of gloves would be the Bracers of Protection, which give you 2 armor class if you don't have any armor on, which you will not have on. And I'm just wearing this robe. You have advantage on saving throws against spells. As far as like some top tier stuff that you can get, this is definitely a really good staff. You gain +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. Alleviate the arcane burden of spell casting with the power of the staff. The next spell you cast doesn't cost a spell slot. So I'm going to show you how we're going to use this, or I've already shown you how to use this, to really get the most out of using our spells. So this allows us to keep our level 6 spell slot while being able to kind of get things online. As far as jewelry goes, Envoy's Amulet is great. Voice of the Circle. You can also use this one right here, which gives you shield. There's other ones that give you the tentacles that you can use, the Necklace of Endless Hentai, whatever it's called. But even just some generic Act 1 stuff you can get too is the Staff of Crohn's. This is going to give you Ray of Sickness that you can cast on people giving them Crohn's disease. But you also have the Staff of Interruption that gives you Counterspell, which is just a really strong spell to have. I like having that kind of turned on for me at all times. Rings too. Ring of Regeneration is just some basic hit points. Killer's Sweetheart to help out with critical hits, because this also applies critical hits to spells. Also is the Spurred Band. During combat, when the wearer starts their turn with 50% or less hit points, they gain momentum for 1 turn. Allows you just to get a little bit more mobility when you are in a hard pinched area. But this is your equipment here for your Necromancer. Very straightforward. So jumping into combat, let's have a display of what's going on here today, right? So with our 4 little ghouls, we can go and jump into all these things and just kind of lock things down. Unfortunately, these things don't have the most movement in the world, but still, let's just kind of come over here. Just slash at that guy. Okay, that's 13 damage. Or stay there. We can see what I can do here. I mean, to be fair, you know, I could be doing some leap in action here. Nothing like watching ghouls leap across the screen at you. Oof. Return slam onto my ghoul? How dare you, sir? We get just a little bit closer. And what's nice here is, you know, yeah, sure, my ghouls aren't taking anything down right now, but now I don't necessarily need to worry about those things kind of freely doing or acting whatever they see. Okay, they tried to move, he got slashed. So it's just kind of free opportunity attacks because the AI almost always opts to just like, oh, I guess we'll just move out of the way. And from here, you know what? If I kill someone in this whole entire endeavor, then I get the capability to just simply animate more corpses if any of mine die. Your corpses last until long rest, and that's probably the best thing about them, right? You don't need to constantly be summoning these things up if you short rest or it's been 10 turns, whatever it is. And hell, I know I'm a Necromancer, but I could conjure an elemental right now. You can have as much up as you want. You can really lean into the summoner portion of this game if you really want, and just have some fun with it. Or just jump really hard into all your necromancy abilities. Okay, Blight. So we could just simply like go crazy here. Target undead. Wait, where? Aha, right, okay, over there. I was like, what the hell? You as the actual spellcaster can do whatever you wish. You're pretty much just wanting your undead to kind of get around and do damage. And then you as the caster kind of more supplement the either the undead or help focus down with your undead. I kind of think of it that way versus like, okay, your undead are solely going to be so strong they're going to kill things, and then you can go kill things. And you can still play like that if you want, right? You send all of your undead onto one target and you do whatever you want. But I think kind of the better way to do things is saying like, okay, my guys are attacking something. Let me see if I can do this, right? Plants take maximum damage from dispel, and that's a plant thing. Never mind. But just do a bunch of damage here. Like, oh, okay, that guy's already getting damage done. Like, whatever it is, kind of hinge myself on those actions. Or, you know what, I really need a little bit of mobility. We got to get out of this tight spot. Let's jump up here, Misty Step out of this situation. Just keep in mind, if you do that, and I did this deliberately, you'll see that these guys just lost undead ward. So you still want to kind of be close to your undead, but still, since you can summon them up freely, don't be afraid to get out of a sticky situation if it means that you'll stay alive. You probably don't have the most capabilities in the game right here, right? I could use Quick Spell to cast another a spell rather than doing what I just did there. You can't be casting crazy because you're not a sorcerer that can convert your sorcerer's points around and stuff like that. Just use your spells to supplement what your undead are doing or to help out what your other melee characters are doing to allow you to really kind of flex into whatever is needed in a given combat situation. So hopefully this helps you out in playing a Necromancer in Baldur's Gate 3. And I think that, yeah, a lot of people say it's the weakest of the subclasses when it comes to the popular ones, but I disregard that. I still think it's a very fun class. It does take some time to get off the ground. I mean, as you can see, I don't have that Overlord ring. I don't have Dance Macabre. And I still think I have a very fun, functional Necromancer. If I have those things, it makes me even better. The big thing is, if you're a Spore Druid, you can really add to this and have a massive legion of undead, but it's not the playstyle I had envisioned for this character. So if you do want to kind of do that, like I said, my buddy Remortis has a great video on splicing Wizard with the capabilities of Spore Druid to really give you a massive undead legion. But still, nonetheless, you're going to have plenty of fun playing this character. The min-max approach to this is just not worth it. Play the game how you want. You spent your money. If you want to play a Necromancer and it's the least, it's a worst class in the game, hint it's not, that's the Arcane Trickster, then fuck it, do it. Don't mind what the internet says, what I say, or anyone else says. Play how you want. It's a single-player narrative game. Enjoy it to the best of your ability. And if you have any suggestions on how to play this class, different items that you really have taken advantage of, or whatever it is, let it be known in the comment section below. I wanted to make a very low barrier of entry class that's not built upon like 50 different items, and hopefully this is the one that kind of clicks for you guys. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.